Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to start, and feel free to, I'm used to the standard Zoom conference where I can see everyone. Here, I feel like on a stage, and it's black, and I can't see out to the crowd. So I need your participation via, the chat. So if you have any questions, you could type it into the chat, and I'll try to address it. Otherwise, after my presentation, I'm more than happy to address any of your questions as well. I think next time that we do this, I'll try to make sure that we all have our video and audio available, so it makes it a little bit easier. But without any further ado, so my name is Shea Rubenstein. I am the CEO of J Builders of New York, which is a local construction company serving Brooklyn and Queens. I've been doing it since 2004. I also run an organization called the JCC of Marine Park, which is a nonprofit social service organization. It's based in Marine Park, but does serve New York City. We have about 25 different programs in which we serve the community, anywhere from social services to Holocaust survivors to youth to jobs programs to the JCon Jewish conferences that I'm sure many of you are aware of. So we try to affect the lives of about 15,000 people a year. And every day we're targeting a different demographic. So one day we'll be helping social services. The next day it's singles. The next day it's Holocaust survivors. The next day it's jobs programs, and the list goes on. As you can well imagine, we're in a very strenuous time. I know that, all of you are confined to your home, which is difficult as it is, and creates a whole new set of challenges, whether it's with our, jobs financially, which is obviously affecting. Over 3 million people filed this morning for unemployment since the bill passed, the $2 trillion bill passed. Then other, social issues do come up because we are closely confined to our homes for the most part, which, you have all the kids and they all have school online and everyone's using the computers and laptops, and we're all close together for 24 hours, times a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Unfortunately, not only from being close quarters, presents its own set of issues, but, people start fighting more when they're just locked in 24 hours. So we definitely have to be mindful of those issues as well and try to understand that, this will pass and hopefully we will come out stronger from this. As you can see from the background where I'm talking to you from, I happen to be in the office. I did send all the employees home. So everyone except for myself right now is working from home. We are considered an essential business. It happens to be that the construction is considered essential, but also helping people on the nonprofit side because we are giving emergency assistance, whether that is gift cards to groceries or whether we are actually opening a food pantry tomorrow morning once again because of the great need. So we are considered an essential business. I do have my gloves. I do have my masks. So I'm trying to stay as safe as possible. So without any further ado, I just want to mention a small focus with regards to business overall and business in today's structure of what's happening, right now. So I'd like to mention a few things that for some of you that are able to work from home, everything is okay. And for so many, as I see on the social service side, people are really, really hurting. And although, there are not that many perfect answers other than, you can file for unemployment or you can get, different tax credits or SBA loans. I number one, do want to encourage you that if you are hurting financially, there are many organizations as well as my organization that are sending out updated tips of different things that you can do in this week to file for different programs to try to get help. If you'd like to be added to that list, in the chat, please add your email address and I'll have the office send you that information today. Secondly, I did speak with the Free Hebrew Loan Society, and they are giving now interest-free loans up to $7,500. And the way it works is you just have to have one guarantor or two guarantors. One guarantor, they'll give you up to $5,000. 2 guarantors, they'll give you up to $7,500. It takes about 10 days to get that money. So it's not a perfect solution, but if you need the shot in the arm, it will give you 7,500 cash. And they have very generous repayment plans, and it's interest free. So you only, pay back $100 to $200 a month over the course of time. You won't necessarily feel it, and that may be the shot in the arm that you need to survive now for the next few weeks and for Pesach. So if you want more information about this and or other programs, shoot me an email and just put your email address in the chat box. Additionally, I'm working with Cross River Bank, who's going to be doing a lot of online seminars about, different programs they have and how to survive in this economy. So I think I'll be sending that out later today. So hopefully, again, if you give me your email address, I will include you in that as well. Just on another note, if you live in the Brooklyn area or if you know people in the Brooklyn area that are really hurting, you could have them reach out. I'm going to give my email address right now. So obviously I don't have all the solutions, but we can try, whether it's emergency cash assistance or food or giving them ideas or helping them apply for different paperwork that they may need. We definitely want to be there for as many people as possible. Okay, so with this out of the way, without any further ado, I would like to discuss different opportunities to promote your business without spending any money. Now, it's an interesting thought when it comes to advertising. People always say, number one, advertising doesn't cost, it pays, which is true. It's also interesting. Some people will spend a lot of money on advertising when business is good and they have the extra cash. But when business is good, they may not necessarily need additional business. And then when they are slow, they don't have the money, but that's when they need to promote themselves in order to, get the business. Now, there's no blanket statement because every industry works different. Some people advertise and they'll get an immediate response because they're a plumber and they're a electrician and they do service calls. And then you have different industries where people look and look and look and then will purchase. So for instance, if people are looking to build a home or buy furniture or spend money on a new car, they're not necessarily going to see your ad and just buy it. They're going to see it, think about it, maybe call you about it, call you again, and then they will make the purchase. So by you spending money now, it doesn't necessarily have the effect immediately, but it plants the seed in their mind. And I think they say that it takes sometimes up to 3 times for people to see you or see your ad or interact with you until they actually finally make that purchase. So it's something to keep in mind. So I came up with a couple of things, and I know that you probably, know of these things already, but sometimes we're just not mindful of them. So I'd like to go through with you 10 different ideas of how you can promote your business without paying a dollar. First, the obvious, become part of an association. Whatever industry you're in, there's always an association. Now, what an association does is obviously they will have a trade show or they'll have get-togethers throughout the year. But what they also will have, for the most part, is they'll have lists and websites that they will publish information on or each other's information. They will have local events where you can go and network. So become part of a local association and look out for those opportunities, because even though you're within the same broad category, you don't necessarily all sell the same product. So if you're in construction or if you're in food or if you're in home service, obviously you're not going to become part of an association of electricians and then ask electricians to give you business. But if you're part of a homeowners association or an association of home service professionals or food service professionals or hotel service professionals, you can feed off each other. So that was the first idea. The second idea is, a lot of times we just try to constantly reinvent the wheels. We spend a lot of time, make connections and reaching out and following up and acquiring the customer. And the cost of acquisition, of getting a customer, is pretty expensive. So the cost of getting a customer is something that we do have to do, but there are two little pointers that I want to point out that you can capitalize on. Number one, if you want to grow your business, you can sell an additional product to the same customer that you have already. And that can help increase your business because as long as it's within the same category, let's say you're selling food service to hotels. And now because of what's happening with COVID-19, you just add those masks or those gloves or that extra product. This is a way of promoting yourself and your business and expanding your business without spending any money on advertising. You're just making more money from each customer. Now you may say, I like the idea, but I don't have the place. I don't have the inventory. I don't have the ability. And the simple answer is really that you just have to reach out to somebody that does, and you can purchase it as needed. And maybe you'll make a little bit less of a markup, but you'll also have less expense. You won't have to lay out the money. You won't have to warehouse it or truck it or pay for gas and insurance and everything else that comes with selling that product. Now, in the reverse, it's true as well. You can approach someone else who sells product, and if you feel that your products fit into their portfolio, you could tell them, I'll give you a small commission and you sell my product because you're already selling to the nursing home all their cleaning supplies. You're selling to the hotel all their food supplies. You're selling all the different products within a specific categories to Walmart, and you're on their shelf already. So how much more difficult would it be for you to call Walmart and say, you know that I have pens and pencils and erasers? Well, now I have pencil cases, and I also have, I guess whatever else fits into that category. So it's true that you'll make a little bit less money, but you're dealing with someone who went through the cost of acquisition, went through the red tape, sells already, and obviously there'll always be some logistics involved, but conceptually speaking, that's a simple way of how to grow your business, promote yourself very quickly, maybe at a smaller margin, but without spending that money on advertising, on cost of acquisition, etc. So that was another item that I thought would be of interest. Okay, another way of advertising without spending any money. First of all, if you're listening and you're hearing me and I'm not going too fast, if you could just type into your chat box, just say okay or give me a thumbs up so I know that you're there and you're still part of the program, and we'll continue right on. Okay, I see we're taking it easy. I'm not saying anything yet, but let me just take a look if I'm all set up over here. Okay, I see we have 11 people, which is great. And if I could just get you all to give me a thumbs up or something that I know that you're in the class, that would be a good push, because I cannot see you in this type of setting of the webinar. I unfortunately cannot see you. I can only see your name on a board. Okay, Yaakov, thank you for the heads up. Okay, so continuing on, the next item, how to promote your business without spending money on advertising. So the next item I would say is you are relatively a professional in your space. That means that if you're selling paper goods, if you're selling service products to hotels, if you're selling retail products to big box, provided that you've been doing this for more than a day, you know your product, you know what you sell, you know how things work, and even though to you it may not be as interesting, but for people like myself that don't know much about your industry, it could be very interesting. So what I would suggest is, especially this is more if you sell, retail product, like if you're a construction company selling to a homeowner, if you're selling your service as an electrician to a homeowner. So it's a little bit more about retail. But what I think you should do, and what I've done, is offer to write articles for local online and newspaper publications. Now, they don't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be very in depth, but I think if you can create a series of articles, now keep in mind, it should not be an advertorial. It should not be, hi, my name is Chaim, I do this, I do that, we're the best at this, we're the best at that, we offer the best price, the best service, the best. No, that's called an advertisement in a written form, and that's not what people will be receptive to. People will see right through it and they'll be like, not interested. What you want to do is, if you consider yourself as of right now a professional in the construction business, then you're going to write interesting articles. Like I started doing these 1 minute or 2 minute videos that I post every week on LinkedIn and on my Instagram, telling people you're building a home, you're spending the most amount of money in your lifetime on building your home, and you know nothing about it. So why don't I tell you how, to spend money, where not to spend money, how to be organized so that your job goes quicker, what goes behind the walls of your house. So by trying to educate the people and telling them something interesting that they want to hear, and then on the bottom of the article, it's going to say that, this article was written by so and so, and that's the name of his company, and he's a professional in the industry for 10 years. That lends credibility to you, and people will automatically reach out to you as a professional, as someone who has a published article, who's a writer. So now not only did you give them an interesting education and they want to reach out to you, but now they're also looking at you different than any other person in your category, because you're a professional, but you're also a published author. You're also a person who's writing for this online website. You're also the person who's publishing your in a newspaper or a magazine. Now, the same would apply. You should definitely do the same thing to create content and put it on your social media feed, because again, provided that you are going to be giving an informative tip or an informative conversation, whether it be on video or in print, it's going to have almost the same effect. Obviously, if people open up the Wall Street Journal and they see your article, or in Forbes magazine, they're going to definitely look at you different than if they saw a link of a video on LinkedIn. But the concept is that if you provide content, you will attract the interest of people. So definitely do it on social media, but try to do it in your local newspaper or magazine. So essentially what you want to do is you want to create, 2 or 3 or 4 articles. Each one should be anywhere between 250 and 800 words. Think of a topic that you want to cover and cover that topic eloquently. Again, make sure it does not come across as an advertorial. So don't say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and this is what I do, and I've been in the industry for 10 years, and I see this, and even though you think it's coming across as informational, when you talk about yourself too much, it's automatically not informational. So even if you're trying to convey, so I go into warehouses and I see the mold, and when I see the mold, I do this, and my people do that, and in 24 hours we do that. That's not what people want to see, because again, you're talking about yourself, and it's just making it all about me, and it's becoming a glorified advertisement. So your approach would be, do you know that 500,000 warehouses in America are infected with mold? Statistics say so-and-so, professionals say so-and-so, and the easiest way to get rid of it would be this disinfectant, that disinfectant, this time frame. This is how much money you can save. Here are different websites that you can research and see about the industry, about what to do. That's it. And then on the bottom of the article, it's automatically going to say that this article was, brought to you by yourself and your company, and maybe they'll even put your contact info. But in today's day and age, we don't even need that, because all you have to do is Google the person or check their website or go onto social media, and you will find everybody everywhere unless they're under a rock in Afghanistan. So obviously you have to pick and choose which newspapers, magazines, or online magazines pertain to your industry. Maybe it is an industry magazine. And that's pretty much the idea. Now, obviously, once you get into any publication, save it, put it on your social media, and now you can use this as another outlet to go to the Huffington Post and to go to the other magazines and newspapers to show them, look, I am a published author. I am a professional or an expert on this category. Would you like me to write something? Here are some sample articles. Here's an article that was actually published in, this and that, magazine or newspaper. If you can't get to the top tier, you obviously start where you can and you work your way up. Before I go to the next item, do we have any questions? I don't know how this raise your hand works, so I see there's a question over here. Ellie, thank you so much. It wasn't a question. He's just giving me a heads up and thanking me for doing this seminar. So thank you, Ellie. And I think it's extremely important to do this. I think more than anything else, there are some things that we do have to address for the immediate because people are hurting. But I do think that we can use this time to, to be positive. And for a lot of us, we know that we may be slow right now, but all the products and services that we sell will be needed. So if it's not going to be now, we'll have a 10% increase next month when people resume back to normal. That cough wasn't Corona, just saying. So I think that it's also important, by the way, when you have a little downtime now, it's true that, you may be working from home if you can, but a lot of us, can't. I think it's important to take a look at your best practices and how you approach your business, and maybe use this as the next week of setting up a good, frame of, of how to approach things going forward. And depending on the industry that you're in, maybe you should start thinking of how to incorporate cleanliness, hygiene, or safety, because now everyone is locked at home. We're being fear-mongered by everyone for right reasons, but we are being fear-mongered. At the end of the day, it's true a lot of people are getting sick and dying, but it's not like the entire country is sick and dying. But because they want to keep us safe, they're trying to push us all at home, which is good. I'm not saying bad about that. I'm just saying that there are about 3 billion people right now that are being forced to stay at home. And because of that, the result is that our psyche is starting to become concerned and nervous, and we're thinking safety. Like every time now I eat something or touch, a door or a knob, even in my own house with my own children around, I'm thinking who's what, and did anybody go out and they touch a door? So in our psyche, at least for the short term, I think that we're all going to be more, conscious of, cleanliness and hygiene. And if the product or service that you sell can offer that type of component, I think that would also be a great upsell to, it's not so much because you're trying to capitalize on the fear, but this is kind of the new normal now. People are always going to be thinking, wow, viruses can spread more often than we thought. So when they think of the flu, even though it's true that 40 million people get the flu, they're going to be thinking, is there a way to maybe be cleaner, or my office can be cleaner, or can we purchase a product that will make us less vulnerable to, this type of getting sick. So I think it's changing the mindset. So whether you do construction, cleaning, service, even if you're a service, provider and you do electric or plumbing or any other service, I think either as a brand, if you include that when you come into people, you tell them how you're going to keep things clean for them, or if you sell a product and offer to upsell them on something that will make them feel good. Because remember, many of the purchases we purchase are essentials, but the majority of the purchases that we purchase are impulse purchases and emotional purchases. So it's not always that we're buying something because we must have the Coach bag. We must have a $300 pair of shoes. We must have a $45,000 car. The must-haves are the cheaper version of everything. The only must-have you need, besides for today, toilet paper being the craziness, but food is something you must have. A roof over your head is something you must have. But most of the purchases that we make are not you must have. And, I think people buy it based on emotion, comfortability, etc. So I would definitely put it out there that you should consider, once again, branding your product where you include safety or selling the safety model. Okay, moving on to the next item. Okay, so we spoke about articles. The next item is to offer exchange or barter. Offer exchange or barter basically means that, you sell service and product. Now, it's easier when you sell service than when you sell product. But for instance, at the JCC of Marine Park, we have a catering hall. Now, the catering hall is something that we charge for. It's a service. We charge for people to be able to use the hall and, use the tables, chairs, the lights, etc. But we also use it as a barter. So if, let's say, the JCC needs to make an event and we don't necessarily have, all the money, or we want to save on fundraising money, we'll reach out perhaps to a caterer and say, if you can help us, give us $5,000 for food so we can make a blood drive, then we will credit you $5,000 that you can have the hall for that 1 or 2 or whatever that equivalent time is. And for us, it's not cash out of our pocket. So whether we do 150 events or 149 events, we're not going to feel it the same. And it's also cheaper for us. Paying cash and offering a service is not necessarily the same price. So what we'll do is we'll actually leverage the hall, or we'll leverage, advertising in the Jewish Echo magazine, which is a magazine, a color glossy magazine that we offer. We mail to several thousand homes in the local communities that we serve. So we'll use that as an exchange barter. If you're able to give us food, we'll give you the ad. If you're able to give us those, tables and chairs and whatever we need for that, street fair or that event or that food distribution, or if you're able to teach a class for free, we'll give you a free ad. So we're able to leverage to the tune of about $75,000 to $100,000 a year of free stuff by giving them barter of items that don't necessarily cost us any money. And even though there is, of course, like some cost because you have your overhead, but it's definitely cheaper than me writing out a check for $100,000 and figuring out how to pay for it, because everything else is kind of running. And there's a lot of items, like when you publish a magazine, the cost of printing and mailing and the writers and the editors and the proofreaders and the contributors, all that, I have already my fixed cost. So if I print, 75 pages or 74 pages or 77 pages, the price is extremely minimal. So I can leverage that to add, another 4 or 5 advertisers and get, $5,000 worth of services from them instead of paying them, because the cost is not going to be that much of a difference to me. So again, it doesn't necessarily apply to every specific industry, but think about the different things that you do. Obviously, if you're in the service business, maybe you can, go on a call and offer to do another item while you're there, and don't charge them that extra item, but in return, maybe the person can give you an item of value. Maybe it's the product that you need to do more service. Maybe it's advertising for your company. So the barter system, to a certain extent, I think is a great system. You don't want to be totally invested. I know that there are many barter clubs, and I know people that actually live all off barter. Everything they do, they hardly make any money, but they end up getting $100,000 worth of barter all over the place. So they're like, okay, so I need a TV, I need some groceries, and they keep on looking at all the different barter clubs that they have in order to cash out. So that can be strenuous because you're extremely confined to what you can and cannot purchase. You have to be confined to those specific barter clubs and stores, and they could be far away from your home. So you don't want to rely on it. But again, if you're looking to advertise and promote your business, you could promote your business by, let's say, calling the local newspaper and say, I'd like to advertise, but instead of paying you in cash, I would like to pay you with my service, or I provided my service to a third party and that person owes me money. So if you want, you could use that because that would make sense for you. I've done it. I've leveraged it. I do about $100,000 a year worth of that, and it really helps our organization. So I think that's another perfect way of how to promote your business without spending any money. Before I continue, if you're still with me, let's see what time it is. It's 2:30. The time is really passing. Please, if you don't mind, just chime in. Let me get another heads up. If you have a question also, feel free in the chat box to type in any question. I see another question came in here. Okay, Yosef is asking, when talking about barter, let's say construction, what do I need to get from another person? Okay, so if you're in the construction business, that's a good question. Let me just lower this. Okay, so you're in the construction business, and where did this go here? So the question is, I mean, it's hard for me to answer your question specifically for you because I know very little about it, but I would have to assume that you need things. I don't know if it's a car, if it's material, if it's insurance for your car, if it's advertising. So there are many things that you need in order to run your business, from the items itself in the business to promoting your business. So the question is that, I guess, to answer your question, um, if let's say you want to promote your business, maybe there's um, a local newspaper that will run advertisements for your construction business, and in return, instead of you paying them cash, you can tell them, um, I do custom closets. So if there's a need, can I give you $1,000 credit for custom closets that you as a newspaper, either you can give it to one of your employees as a gift of the month, and that can build the morale, or you can advertise in your newspaper that if people answer a certain question, Chevria, they have the ability to win a custom closet. And, that's pretty much the idea. So you try to think, the person that you're talking to, what type of barter would make sense. Remember, everything is a two-way street here. You're not forcing people. You're not begging people, please take something that you don't need. You never want to sell somebody something that they don't need. So the same thing is also, you're never going to offer a barter that does not make sense. But sometimes you could be creative. Like if you're selling custom closets and you're thinking to yourself, how does a newspaper or a magazine need custom closets? Because I want free advertisement, think a little out of the box. And like I mentioned to you, if they want to give it as a gift to their employee, or they want to use it as a way to, market their own magazine and newspaper, and say, two people win each a $500 gift certificate towards a new closet, that could be another idea. And by the way, on that same vein, you could even work with them to create a promotion that it could be mutually beneficial for both. Because if you tell them, if let's say you do custom closets, you call a local newspaper and you say, you're trying to promote yourself as a great magazine and newspaper. I'm trying to promote myself as a custom closet company. How about if I give you 10 $250 gift certificates to raffle off to people? Because it's going, the light, when people call me, an average custom closet costs $1,000. And once I come into their house, I'm a good salesman. I'm going to know how to even upsell them to $2,000. So I'm going to give you 10 $250 gift certificates. You're going to look like a hero for giving it out as prizes in your magazine and newspaper in the local Muncie or Borough Park or Flatbush, magazine. And then when people call me, I will honor that $250. Now, I may luck out and they will like me and my product and order $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000, or I may just not make the money on that one closet that they would have ordered. So of course you have to make sure that you're good at your marketing skills, but that's something where it's going to be a potential upside for your business. It's going to help the newspaper, and at the same time, remember that because you gave them these gift certificates, they're giving you free advertising, which is bringing you new customers, and those customers have value too. So if you look at it as a big picture, it's definitely a net benefit. So if you want to, I just put out my email address. I'm going to actually put out my other email address, Josh R at jbuildersny.com. So if you want to send me an email and tell me, what business you do, and if I could come up with some ideas of how you can leverage your business, I'm more than happy. I may not be able to respond to everyone today, but I will try to give you some ideas of how you can barter your business, or how you can promote your business in a magazine, a new newspaper, with an article that would be of interest to the public without spending money. So I'm more than happy to do that. Let's see if we have any other questions before I continue on to the next item. Okay, Ellie's asking, I'm a business broker and I work on, oops, I lost someone there. Okay, so Ellie, I need to know a little bit more. You're writing that I'm a business broker and I'd like to have referral leads. What exactly is a business broker? Is that, are you in the shipping side of business brokering? Do you manufacture product from China? So I need a little bit more. Okay, so you help people who try to sell their business. So people want to sell a business and you're a business broker. Got it. Okay. Okay, so let's think. So you're a business broker. People want to sell their business. And okay, so I think that if you approached some of the local newspapers or magazines, and not so much from an advertising perspective, but again, you have to put yourself all the time in their shoes. So if you think of yourself at, what you're going to say, if you think of yourself as somebody who's just selling the magazine and newspaper for free stuff, they're going to see right through it and they're not going to work with you. So you can't say, oh, please put all my advertising in. It's going to be good for you. They'll be like, why is it good for me? But as long as you put yourself in their shoes and you think of yourself as a two-way street, that it's going to benefit them, then they'll be more receptive. So if you're a business broker, I think if you can, okay, so two things. First of all, if you want to write interesting articles about the interesting experiences that you had as selling businesses, I think that newspapers would be interested, or online articles would be interested in featuring it, because there's always a human element. So, there was Mr. Katz. He owned a tire shop for 70 years and he lived through this recession and that recession, and his kids didn't want to take over the business because of A, B, and C. And then, I brought in a 23-year-old young motivated guy, and I was able to get this young Sam to purchase $1 million business for only 100,000 down, because the owner held paper for the next 6 years at a very decent interest rate, and he offered to stay on for 90 days or for 180 days. So I think if you create a human element story, we're all interested, because there's a dream in that also, because a lot of people work very hard, try to build a business, and it's almost like a dream that you just bought a ready-made business that's making money and you got great terms. So I think if you can think to some of the companies that you've helped facilitate and create some stories about them, I think some of the newspapers who want to keep in mind that most of the magazine and newspapers are very individual focused. But as you can tell by a lot of the trends that are moving now in print and online publication, they're moving a lot towards small business. I mean, we started at the JCC, this brand called JCon for Jewish conferences, and we do, conferences for healthcare, elder care, real estate, e-commerce, and each one has, Baruch Hashem, about 700 people that attend. And if you take a look at Ami magazine, they focus a lot on business, and they started focusing on business ideas. And Mishpach magazine created a 2.0 separate magazine and then combined it. So all the magazines and newspapers are definitely trying to gear towards small business and business models. So I think that if you create a human element, then they would be interested in running it. And obviously, by running it, on the bottom, it would say that you are a business broker and you have a listing over 25 businesses that there are to sell. I would say take the same method of application and do it on social media. Write something interesting, like if you wrote, a tire shop, 75 years, I just got somebody to buy it for no money down, or for 10% down and a private mortgage from the owner. That would attract a lot of people to be reaching out to you and saying, you know what, I'm 25, I'm 30, I want to start a business, I don't know what to do, but I can come up with $50,000 and I'm a hard worker. Do you think you could find a business for me? If, my parents could help me, I could put down $150,000. Can you find me a business that the old owner will stay in the business for 6 months and teach me the business, and then give me maybe a loan so I can pay it out over the next year or two? So I think that using social media, using the articles, writing human interest, I think would really net you. I personally would read it. So I hope that answers your question. Um, and again, if you send me an email, Ellie, I'll be more than happy to come up with maybe 4 or 5 different ideas because you're kind of putting me on the spot. So I'm giving you what comes to mind first. So do we have any other questions before we continue on? Let me take a quick look over here. By the way, hello to Ellie, Dove, Ellie, Jacob. Thank you so much, by the way, to Jacob Asani and to Jake Rosenberg, 2 amazing individuals that I've come to know over the past several years. And whenever I do my large-scale events at the JCC or at JCon, they're always there. They're interviewing great people and forcing me to become even better because, I wear many different hats. And, it's funny, next week I'll be doing a concert, and today I'm doing a speech, and later today I'm opening a food pantry. So every 5 minutes I'm wearing a different hat. So it's good that they pushed, and had me do it. Hello, Joseph. Hi, Mitchell. And Yaakov, Yoel, thank you so much. I know that you have what to do, so I really appreciate that you're taking the time to be part of this conversation. And let's see if we have any other questions before we continue. And again, there's no question that's a bad question. And if you don't want me to mention your name, I won't. So don't feel like you have to be concerned that it's a silly question. If you feel uncomfortable, just say, don't use my name, and I won't even mention your name. Let's see. I think I have a question coming in over here. What are the different industries and companies that are doing well and are buying? So I'm assuming that you are asking who's doing well right now and what industries to get into. The data keeps on changing, and I'm no economist, but what I would say is, from what I've seen, obviously, the city, state, and federal are looking for any healthcare related items. So I think in the short term, needless to say that, any medical equipment, whether they be masks and gloves and gowns, but again, be very careful, because if you're going to buy it now and you're not a source and it's going to take you time to get, and then remember, everyone is rushing now to that line to be able to manufacture all these products that are needed. So if you don't sell masks and gloves and gowns and ventilators, don't just invest $100,000 to try to do it, because by the time you do it, it may be a little bit late if it takes several weeks. Also, if you don't understand how the logistics work and you don't understand taxes and customs and trucking, you can get really, really stuck. So if you really want to get in on what's happening now, maybe act more as a broker and find out who has it and who needs it and just help facilitate. I do think, healthcare, whether it's going to be nursing home or assisted living, and I see a lot of people going into especially assisted living. It seems that because the seniors are more vulnerable and because of what's going on, it seems like that industry is going to be strong for the next while, for sure. Anything that you could do online. So Amazon, I see that Amazon, I purchased a lot of product recently because I went to some stores that were closed. I saw Wayfair and Amazon, and a lot of those places were actually doing extremely well and out of product and taking a little bit longer to ship. And it's funny, we're in a time where we need everything in 24 hours, and Prime in 2 days, we're willing to wait. On another, again, I don't want to act like a stockbroker or mislead you, but there are a lot of undervalued stocks. So if you do day trading or if you dabble in stocks, I personally have purchased stock since the crash, or I shouldn't say the crash, but since it took a real tumble, because I see a lot of stocks that are extremely undervalued right now. They're showing cash in the bank, they're showing value, they're showing profitability. But just because, everything that happened, it just like dumped all the way down. Like Boeing was, I think, at $340, went all the way down to 95. I think I purchased it at 104 and now it's back at 170. But I'm not encouraging you to go into the stock market, and I would probably tell you not to do it if you don't know what you're doing, because it's like gambling in a casino, and it's probably better just to put money in a mutual fund, because the mutual funds know how to do it. They also spread it over a many stocks. So even if some do well and some don't, it has always shown to have a decent return. So I think now happens to be a good time that the market is low. But again, speak to your professional, and if you know nothing about it, and or if you, I always say, don't invest any money that you don't have to lose. So if this conversation is not applicable for you, then forget we even spoke. Okay, so I'll be moving on to the next item. Do we have any questions before we move on? And we have 10 minutes left. Especially now that we have 10 minutes left, I'll go through the next items, but feel free to chime in if you have any questions so we have enough time to answer. Okay, the next item, which is, it's going to seem like a simple item, but it works, and it's something that you always see, but you don't always pay attention to. How, the topic of conversation that we're talking about, and once again, this is Shea Rubenstein covering 10 ways of promoting your business without spending money, is social media. Social media is by far the most powerful tool. Now, the competition on social media is also very great because, when you live in a neighborhood, there are 10 grocery stores, but when you have grocery stores on the internet, you have 1 billion of them. When you're on the internet, you're automatically on social media competing with 1 billion people instead of with 1 million people or with 10 people. So the question is, how do you promote your business on social media? Because you sell businesses, Ellie, but there are 1 million people selling businesses all over the country or all over the state. So people may want to buy your business, or they may want to buy a gas station in New Jersey off Route 1, or they may want to buy your client's tire shop, but they're not committed to a tire shop, so they may want to buy someone else's suit store. So how do you get yourself promoted without spending money? It happens to be that I do think it's worth spending a little money on social media when you create a post and then you spend, $20 or $50 to promote that post, because between Facebook and Instagram, you can really focus on who you want that to go to. So where they live and what zip code and how old they are, if they're men or women, what interests they have. So you could, I do find it effective. But in the vein of not spending money, I think that if you think out of the box a little bit, like when you create the post, if you leave a question to the post that people should respond to and you engage them, that's something that you're going to get people into. I think that if you also offer some type of free promotion and you tell them to like and share, to take if you like and share this comment or tag 2 people, we'll give you a $10 gift card to Amazon, or we'll enter you into a ticket of winning a $250 gift certificate to a custom closet. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're giving them a product that you offer, but you can offer them the chance to win something that you have availability to. So that's another item that you can use with social media. So tagging, posting, that's a great way to get the word out there by getting people to like and to tag you. And it doesn't really cost any money, because I'm sure you can find something that's of value to other people that doesn't necessarily cost you a lot of money. And, it may cost you if you want to give something, that does cost money, but people are very easy and willing to share your post and tag a friend for relatively, small items. So you don't have to tell them, oh, if you tag and share, you may win a Lamborghini. If you do a $50 gift card to a local sushi store, they'll do the same tagging and whatnot. So I think that using social media is another very good way. Let me just move this over. And let's see what else we have over here. Okay, so I'm not sure if I went through all the 10 items because I haven't been counting. if I could just leave you with some final thoughts, but again, if anybody has a question, feel free to ask me. More than happy. You can either do it in the question Q&A or you can do it in the chat. I'm looking at both right now. And hello, Yankee, welcome. Hello, Yaakov, welcome. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to respond. Okay, so we don't. So I just want to, in terms of business overall, I'd like to just make a few statements to set your frame of mind in terms of growing as a business, because we can think of the immediate, we could think small, and then we can think big. You know, it's, I remember that there was once a person that he walked around in shul and he was collecting, you know, with change in his hand. And I told him, if you collect with change, people are going to throw change into your hand. If you collect and people see $5 and $10 bills, they will automatically, subconsciously assume that that's what people are giving you. So when we think of ourselves small, again, the difference between the small business and the big business is that the big business, obviously you need, you know, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle to become a big business. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you have only a certain amount of time and hours in your day. You can either be a minimum wage secretary, or you can be a CEO of a big company. The difference is your mindset. If your mindset is, you know, I'm making a plan of how to build $1 million company, and then you try to work on that, it's going to be, you're going to expect of yourself a different outcome than if you're just trying to make $50,000 and start some type of small business and sell, you know, a little product for a little bit of a margin. So I think create a big mindset. Obviously, you may have to start small, but you should definitely have a plan. Whenever you want to start any business or grow in any business, think two things. Number one, are there a lot of people in this industry that are successful, or do I have to be one of 10 people out of 1,000 that are going to be successful? Now, I don't want to put down any industry, so I don't really want to say much. But, you know, think about the people in your industry and think about the 10 people that you know. Are 7 of them doing extremely well and making well into the 6 figures? Or is only 1 out of 1,000 doing extremely well and the rest of them are barely making a living? So that will give you a compass to know if what you're doing now is a waste of time. Because you want to be in an industry that at least the majority of the people are making serious money, or at least have the potential of making serious money. The second thing you have to keep in mind is if you look at Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, they don't necessarily do their own paperwork. I go crazy when people tell me, I tell them, why aren't you growing? And why aren't you, you know, focusing on creating new business? And they tell me, because I have to do everything. If I don't do it, it just doesn't get done. So the mentality is small business. The mentality is small business. So the mentality is I have to do it or it's not going to get done. And by doing that, you essentially just made yourself a minimum wage secretary, because you have to file the paperwork and you have to go to the bank and you have to speak to each customer. You have to create each invoice. You have to check the mail and you have to check on each worker. So you can either become a CEO or you can become, I have to do it all myself, minimum worker. So most small businesses think that way, but I always say the minute that you stop thinking that way and you're willing to let go is going to be the first day of the rest of your life, because you're going to be able to delegate. Oh, but if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. So I would say 2 things. First of all, it's okay. Let other people do it. And maybe people will make a mistake, but they'll learn from it. And I always say you can make a mistake once as long as you don't make the same mistake again. Now, people are not stupid and people are not babies. If you will entrust people and they know that they have to make that decision, and if they don't make that decision, something is going to terribly go wrong, they will make the right decision. It's just that they know that you gave them the job, but you're also on top of them and following up and reporting back and. So if you're going to delegate, which is going to be the one keyword to success in your life, whether it's a nonprofit organization or a business, the key word is to delegate. And if you're going to learn how to delegate, that is going to make you the difference between making money and not making money. And again, I'm generalizing a very general statement to a general audience on a general topic, but I hope that this was helpful. And I want to once again thank Jake Rosenberg and Jacob Pisani from The Power Entrepreneur for giving me this opportunity to speak to you on growing your business. And on a personal note, I hope that if you're hurting financially or if business is slow, that you can weather the storm and will weather the storm, because we've gone through a lot worse as a people and we've overcome. I also want to encourage you that if you're hurting financially because of your business or your employees or yourself, there are so many resources out there, from the Free Hebrew Loan Society to the local food pantries to all the government programs and subsidies that are out there. If you send me your email address, I will include you in those updates that are sent out constantly. And once again, if you have any final questions, I'm more than happy to answer. So do we have any final questions? Okay, so if we don't have any final questions, it is 3 o'clock. So I do want to thank you for joining me for the past hour on The Power Entrepreneur. My name is Shea Josh Rubenstein from the JCC of Marine Park, as well as from J Builders of New York. I hope you enjoyed and have an amazing rest of the day.